Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to look at the very short but very sweet catalog of a German band called Agitation Free. So some of you might be saying, Agitation who? Agitation Free? Pete, I never heard of them. Very, very fascinating band from the early 70s, kind of a krautrock scene. Okay, only released throughout their history 3 proper studio albums. All right, 2 early on, a lot of live albums, and then they did various reunion tours and things like that, and they actually did record another studio album much later in their career in 1999. So we're going to look at the 3 studio albums here, and then I'm going to talk about some of the live albums. I almost don't want to forget their live albums here because, quite frankly, I think their live albums are even more compelling than the studio albums. So let's start off here, and today is going to be, it's interesting as I was kind of re-going through these albums again. They're basically going to, my ranking from 3 to 1 is going to exactly mirror when they came out. So we're going to start off with River of Return from 1999. This, like I said, is their big reunion studio album. So these guys were mostly instrumental, and especially early on, kind of like if you can think of the early krautrock scene, kind of like, Asherah Temple, early Tangerine Dream, that sort of thing, mixed with some Pink Floydian space rock, maybe a little bit of Hawkwind, some jazz fusion in there as well, certainly some prog rock, mostly instrumental. I would say like probably 90% of their music is instrumental, kind of blippy, ominous keyboards and synths and mellotrons and lots of guitar soloing and sometimes kind of tribal percussion. The music is definitely really moody. It's definitely, you have to be in the mood to listen to stuff like this sometimes, but very, very cool. And live, they would take it to another level. Live, it really took on more of like a space rock kind of characteristic, with lots of soloing and cool passages and lots of dreamy things going on. Really interesting. But for their 1999 reunion album, and again, they had most of the original guys on board here. Little bit different. Really solid album. It's not quite as far out and experimental as their earlier albums. It's much more melodic. It's even a touch jazzier. You got some saxophone on here, adding that kind of jazzy touch, but still a really good, pleasing listen. Spectacular Sunrises, excellent song. You got Susie sells seashells at the seashore, right? You got the title track, River of Return, which is very, very jazzy. Like I said, the sax adds a really nice element in spots, and that's something they didn't utilize back in the early days. But a very strong album. Got a good amount of tracks. You got 8 regular tracks on here. 17, like I said, 177 Spectacular Sunrises is actually the closing track, and that's over 11 minutes long. That's a really, really good one. And the Susie track is also another big epic. They were good at tossing in like shorter songs amidst these bigger, epic tracks. And then as all of the kind of CD reissues and issues of this particular one is on Inside Out SPV. You got a couple bonus tracks on here. On a lot of these CDs that they released, these reissues, lots of good bonus material, various live tracks. These guys also would play songs live that were never included on studio albums, so pretty neat stuff there. So that's my number 3, River of Return. Coming in at number 2, I had a hard time with my number 1 and 2. I wasn't quite sure which way I was going to go with either one of them. I love them both almost equally, but I'm going to go right now with their second album, titled Second, from 1973. Okay, there's the guys in the band back there. Okay, and these reissues on the first 2 albums are from MIG Records out of Germany. Really good record label. So here, I almost ranked this number 1 specifically because there's a 2-part suite on here from, I think, is their best composition they ever did. It's called Layla, Laila, not to be confused with Layla and Other Stories from Derek and the Dominoes, which is just an absolute lovely kind of prog fusion track. Almost kind of sounds like Camel meets Brand X. I mean, just the melody is just unbelievable. The guitar work in the song, the great use of synths. Definitely go check out Layla, and probably the live versions are even better than the studio versions. Just really, really amazing with some nice extended musical passages. absolutely brilliant song. And like I said, almost made me rank this one number one. In the Silence of the Morning, Sunrise is another really good epic like track. It's almost 7 minutes long. Very cool song. Kind of reminds me of early Pink Floyd. It's got that kind of early psychedelic space rock thing going on. Lots of blipping synths and meditative drums and percussion. Nice jazzy lead guitar solo. You got First Communication, nice spacey song. A Quiet Walk is near 10 minutes of kind of ominous Zayat era Tangerine Dream with some kind of weird, creepy keyboards and synths, and then some jangly guitars that come in near the end. You got Haunted Island, which is an interesting track. So that's got vocals, especially in the beginning and towards the end, almost like spoken word vocals, right? And then you got this creepy organ and mellotron comes in. Very, very cool, almost disturbing track. Kind of reminds me of like a leftover from Pink Floyd's Metal or like Ummagoma from that period. So really good album that I think only is bested ever so slightly by Malesh, which is their first album. Okay, there's the guys in the band. Very cool album. Again, space rock, early space rock meets krautrock, dash of prog, dash of fusion. Early Pink Floyd, a little bit of Ashra Temple, a little bit of Middle Eastern stuff going on, some Tangerine Dream. You got You Play for Us Today. You got A La Tool, another cool song. Pulse is a really good one. Title track, also excellent. It's got all these pulsating things happening on, oozing all over the mix. Really, really cool stuff. Like I said, there's some Middle Eastern sounds and spots. A lot of floating, kind of weird, creepy space rock keyboards, all right, using some early synths like Moog and Hammond and Mellotron and all sorts of really cool sounds happening here from on the keyboard front. Lots of cool extended guitar solos. Some are a little aggressive, some are more liquidy. Just a really mesmerizing album. Really, really cool. And like I said, you get on the MIG reissue, you get Ruck Stores, which is a live song. Great. Also, you get Music Factory Live, another cool live track, 15 minutes long. So lots of really, really interesting stuff here. Really strong album, top to bottom. I did the whole main album and plus the bonus material, just excellent stuff. So I did want to mention, because if you're going to experiment and kind of take a chance on this band, you got to go check out the live stuff. So here we've got this one that I picked up again from MIG, the guys in Germany. Great label. It's called Agitation Free, Last Fragments and Live 74. 3 CDs and a DVD. So here you've got the album Last, so which at the time, this is in the mid-70s, this is the last thing they actually released because they had broken up. It's a collection of some live material, live in studio, all that sort of thing. And then we've got the Fragments, which released later on, but also recorded various things and live things in 1974. And then you got their official live album, Live 74, right? So here you got all three of them here. Live is where these guys really, really kind of went off the deep end, right? Some really cool, progressive things going on here and just lots of experimentation. If you love krautrock that really just goes off into the stratosphere, that's what you're going to get here. Lots of great guitar soloing and extended keyboard solos and passages and lots of creepy ambiance and just a lot of these tracks from the studio albums just extended live, and then you got all these other like live jams and things that are not from studio albums. So very, very cool stuff. I dig this a lot. And then of course you got a very cool concert from, was it 2013 from Berlin on the DVD, which is also amazing. All right, you get to see the guys live in concert. Very cool. So I highly recommend this as well. If you're going to pick up the 3 studio albums, get this. You'll get 3 great live albums. It's a perfect package, 3 and 3. So there you go. It's one of those bands that you can only talk about for so long. You have to actually go and just kind of explore them and investigate their music because they're very unique sounding. Like I said, I mentioned some bands here and there, like the early Floyd and Ashra Temple and Tangerine Dream and that sort of thing, but they kind of really have their own sound, although you can hear little elements of other bands that were around at the time. They were doing something definitely a little bit different. They're definitely kind of jammy in spots if you like that sort of thing, and they hint at that little kind of classic early mid-70s jazz fusion thing from time to time, which is pretty neat. So there you have it. Agitation Free. There's your stuff you should be looking into, so check them out. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. For any of you Agitation-Free fans interested to see how you would rank these albums or what you think of them, and if you've never listened to the band, go check them out on YouTube here. All right, come back, let us know what you think. All right, so we'll see you guys later on. What do we got coming up? Don't forget, tonight I will be back on Guitar Hack tonight, where we're going to be talking about our 10 favorite Rush albums. That's happening tonight. We've got Martin Popoff coming back on Friday for a Ranking the Album show of Pantera. And also tomorrow morning, bright and early, I'll be talking to Lars Erik Mattsson, guitarist extraordinaire, also the owner of Lion Music Records. We will be giving off our favorite guitar solos from Uli John Roth, so you don't want to miss that. And then this weekend we got Butch Jones coming back on the show for the first time in a while. We are going to be doing a little segment about our favorite opening tracks on classic hard rock and metal albums, as well as favorite guitar solos of the late Eddie Van Halen. So that's coming up this weekend. So stay tuned for all that stuff, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.